Hey friends, we are between calls right now and I have one last call today. It's still sunny and warm out, and so out for a walk, and I want to talk about one of my special interests right now, which is trust and distrust, and what Malcolm calls the non-naive trust dance. I've known Malcolm for many years at this point and have read some of his work for some time and talked to him for some time. I've had him on my podcast. And I've been interested in the non-naive trust dance for quite some time, but for various reasons, it's become a special interest this year where I'm like, you know what? It's really time for me to understand and download, make sense of the non-naive trust dance. And I want to talk about why I'm interested in it and why I think it matters and what I want to do as I learn about it. Sorry about the sun in the background. I'll walk backwards for a little bit of taking care of the legs here with some backwards walking. At least for a block while I'm up here. So I think to the extent that I've understood it so far, the non-naive trust dance has been really explanatory for me about contexts that I've been in the past, and that I found confusing at the time, like what's going on here, and also in my present context where I'm a leader in the service guild and I'm connected to a lot of different people who are in the guild and out of the guild, and trust comes up and distrust comes up. And one of the very first things that the non-naive trust dance really taught me, at least, was just, hey, there is distrust. There is distrust, and people are going to distrust me. They're going to distrust each other, and that's actually okay, and that's actually normal. Distrust is normal and fine and healthy to have distrust, that people are going to have distrust based on the experiences that they've had and their beliefs about other people in the world, and also what they're noticing in other people, and that's okay. And one of the axioms in the non-naive trust dance is you can't trust what you can't trust. And so, a naive version of trust, amongst other things, could look like thinking, oh, I could convince someone to trust me, or I could convince someone to trust someone else, or to trust something. Is possible even to there's something kind of forcey or coercive about that, where, oh, I could just persuade, or if I could just get them to see a certain way, maybe they'll trust this or this person or this context. And it's like, no. You can't force trust. You can't persuade trust. To the extent that you can do that, it's tenuous and not really stable and not trustworthy itself. And that's just been so explanatory. It's like, oh yeah, I distrust things. I distrust people. Other people distrust things. Other people distrust people. And that's normal and healthy even. You shouldn't trust everybody with everything all the time. A simple case is most of my friends shouldn't trust me to come and take care of them if they're sick. Not because I wouldn't want to, or not because I wouldn't be able to, but because, I'm in one place at this time, and people are going to be elsewhere, and I travel all over the world. And so if I'm in Bolivia, I'm not going to be able to take care of my friend in Mongolia. And if I'm in Mongolia, I can't take care of my friend in Japan. And if I'm in the Bay Area, I can't take care of my friends in New York, or whatever. I've never been to Bolivia or Mongolia. I have been to Japan. But you take my point. I might want to help my friends, but if they're sick and they're in another part of the world, I can't help them. So, there's all these ways that we might trust people, distrust people, have assumptions about what we can trust, have assumptions about what we distrust, and just acknowledging that's normal and healthy and real, and those distrusts are real, and you can't just override them. And that has been a really powerful frame shift for me and has applied in a lot of contexts. And that's just dipping my toes in the water of the non-naive trust stance. There's a lot more there from what I can tell. And so I'm kind of on a mission to understand it better and to digest it for myself, make sure I really understand it at a deep level. I'm slowly working through reading all of Malcolm's writings, and I'm talking to Malcolm and to some other friends who've sort of digested the non-naive trust stance, and making sure I really understand it. And I want to understand both the theory of it, of like, yeah, what is Malcolm even saying about trust and what does this mean? But also the practice and how do I apply this? And that really matters to me. That's a big part of the care about, is I want to be able to apply that to the Service Guild, for example, with my collaborations with people. How can I relate to trust and distrust in a non-naive way, a way that respects my distrust, their distrust, that doesn't try to just force things? And that's a big care about. I really want the Service Guild to flourish, and I want to be a good leader that incorporates those ideas, and I want the culture that we have to incorporate these ideas, and especially the practice of them, not just the theory, but the practice. And it really matters to me, not just for the Service Guild, but for the larger ecosystem that we're connected to this network, to Teapot, and really, I'd say for the species, for the planet, ultimately for all beings, where one way of putting it, this is just one way of putting it, but as far as I can tell, we're undergoing something like a phase shift as a species, where we're learning how to be a global planet and how to be a global civilization and how to have cultures that can respect and embody different cultures while still coordinating at the global level. And that's easier said than done, and we're not doing the best job at it yet, but there's starting to be different building blocks that might make that possible. And it's just obvious to me, having had this insight at the local level, that how to put it, these dynamics with trust and distrust and the solutions that the non-naive trust stance points to are going to really apply at all of those scales, where yes, it's going to apply to me and my work at the Service Guild and all the people that I encounter directly. But I think everyone in the network or Teapot is really going to need these as the sort of larger venture that we're on continues and grows and expands to new places and encounters new cultures and new domains and new problem spaces. Trust and distrust are just going to come up, and they're already at play, and there's just already, there's people who probably distrust me in any number of ways, or who I distrust, or people on, quote, the outside who distrust Teapot, or people within Teapot, or whatever. And that's all valid. It's like, yeah, you can't trust what you can't trust. And so how do we coordinate effectively in a way that respects and acknowledges and honors what is trustworthy and what people don't trust and all of that? And I still feel very early in this exploration. But I want to share that I'm excited about it, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm digesting this writing. And I'm thinking about it as having two phases of my effort here, where I want to understand it, both the theory and practice. And that's going to take a while to read Malcolm's writing and talk to Malcolm, talk to Michael Smith, talk to some other friends, really digest it, really internalize it. And I've done this before, with different domains and stuff. Where I've just, I remember in 2017 and 18, just asking my friend Ben Mosier a billion questions that were about business and military strategy, and just really digesting that. And that turned into a whole field for me of exploration and research and learning, and eventually blog posts, like my blog post about John Boyd, or my blog post about Wordley mapping, or conditions consequences, or, eventually the Strategy 101 post that kind of was a header way into all of that. That's not really the word I'm looking for, but you take my point. And eventually I would like to convert this understanding into an artifact. Some kind of blog post about the non-naive trust stance that is kind of the blog post that I wish that I'd had when I started. Malcolm's put a lot of work into understanding these ideas and into sharing them, and that's really good. And also it's just not, the things he's created aren't quite the thing that I need to understand the ideas. I just know how my mind works and what I need, and Malcolm's mind is very different than my mind. The people who invent the thing are often not the best people to explain the ideas or to spread the ideas, and I feel like I'm much better at explaining ideas or spreading ideas than I am at inventing ideas. And so eventually I'd like to create some kind of blog post about the non-naive trust dance. We'll see if and when that happens. Me understanding it feels like a prerequisite for that, and that takes time. I've also been just really inspired by the idea of getting paid to write this blog post, because I think that these ideas, if I'm not mistaken about them, I think they have value on the order of like trillions of dollars for the species. I'm not an economist and I'm not really a businessman per se, but if these ideas are what they think they are and they apply at all scales, then they're going to help us to coordinate globally in a way that we haven't really been able to thus far. And that's just going to create untold value really for us. I mean, potentially for being a multi-planet species, like if we get there, inshallah. So it really matters that we understand trust and distrust and sort of the physics of trust and distrust at that scale. And so me converting Malcolm's early writings, because it's still early days, into something that's more legible and more coherent to more people, that reaches a broader audience and makes it more accessible to more people, I think that's really valuable work. And I know that I'm good at it. I have a track record of and sort of proof of work of doing this kind of work, where like I have my John Boyd post, or my post about fundraising, or my post about Burbea, or my post about biomotive. Like these are examples of things where I took months or sometimes years to digest the materials and then convert it into a much more accessible blog post that could really reach a wider audience. And so I've been happy to do those work for free in the past, but in this case it's like, I think I should raise some funds to write this blog post. And so I've been talking with Malcolm and Michael and some other friends about this and what that might look like. And yeah, I think Malcolm's independently wanting to raise some funds for his work for NNTD and his larger ecosystem of work. And so I think there's some overlap there, and we'll see what we do about that. But I would love to raise funds for this and create the thing that I wish I'd had when I got started and introduced to these ideas, so that we can share them with more people and make them more accessible to more people sooner. And it won't be the end all be all of NNTD discourse or trust discourse, but I think it could be a really valuable contribution. I know from my track record that I've done this sort of thing before, and I do good work. I'm really good at it, and I would like to do that kind of work with this. And to some extent, that's just going to be inevitable that I'll do this. I'll be digesting this material and sharing what I learned, but I think funds could really accelerate that process. And there's a lot of different projects that I could be doing, so it'll make it easier to prioritize working on this project in particular. So we'll see, but that's my current interest, is trust and distrust, and learning about Malcolm's non-naive trust dance in particular, and just really digesting his corpus of work and making sure that I understand it and taking notes about it and asking him and others questions. And I'm diving deep into it, and I love that kind of work. I'm really enjoying it, and wanted to give a little update about it. It's still early, but that's one of the projects I'm working on right now, and I'd love to hear what you think and what this brings up for you. And of course, if this is interesting to you, go check out Malcolm's work and his writing. And as I said, I've had him on my podcast as well. So yeah, I think that should do it for now, but I'm curious to hear what you have to think, and I'm sending you love.